Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their Sunday. That's right, folks. Today is Sunday, and we've got an interesting one for you today, folks. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to get deals on your silver and precious metals. Now, there's a lot of savvy ways that stackers can go out there and get a bargain on their silvers that they're stacking, and so I'm not going to cover all the different ways to do that. Of course, there's very many ways. You can go roll hunting, you can simply just go look for scrap metal and melt that down and convert it to something that is more valuable to you, or perhaps the scrap metal itself is what's valuable for you. And so there's very many ways. People stack generics. They try to beat the premiums by stacking generics. They might try to time the market by doing some technical analysis or something and assessing the market and looking at trends. And maybe some people look at the gold to silver ratio and they try to trade against that. So there's very many ways that you can maybe get ahead while you're trying to stack. But ultimately, you could choose a combination of strategies or none at all. You could just go out buying silver willy-nilly, right, and have no strategy at all. There's so many different ways that you can approach it, but something that I wanted to bring to your attention, which is kind of like a timely thing, has to do with actually the recent auctions that we've started hosting on Whatnot every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you go to whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker, you will be taken to our page. We actually have a whole marketplace. So a lot of the stuff that you see on our silverbarstacker.com website, a lot of that stuff is actually duplicated and available also on our Whatnot marketplace. And we also do a weekly auction, a live format auction every Sunday. So that is actually a place to get tons of deals, and I'll tell you why that's a place to get tons of deals. A lot of things, if you've been paying attention to the kind of the shorts that we've been putting up on our social media pages, you may have noticed that we have one short that's related to kind of the deals that people are able to obtain on our weekly Whatnot auctions, and those deals are, let me tell you, they're unheard of. It's a glitch in the matrix is what I'm going to tell you, because when you go into the Whatnot marketplace, what the sort of glitch that you fall into is that there are very few buyers. And the other thing is that all the buyers that are there are very cheap. They really want to get a good deal on the items that are there. They're savvy stackers is the way I'm going to put it, right? And there's few of them, so there's not a lot of competition as a buyer. When you're going there as a buyer, it's a really good place to get deals. And the reason why there's so few buyers is because Whatnot, that marketplace and that auction site, that is very new. It is a US-based company. They actually just started here in 2023, and so there's not a lot of sellers there, and there's even fewer buyers, right? There's very few buyers. There's actually a good amount of sellers, actually, if you look on there. Some are quality, maybe some not so much, right? Maybe some sellers have the items that you're looking to buy, others not so much, right? But it's a relatively small marketplace of sellers and a very small marketplace of buyers. When you go and you bid against auctions on eBay, for example, eBay has been around for decades. Everybody knows about eBay. Everybody pretty much more or less feels comfortable buying on eBay, for better or for worse. And when they purchase on there, you're competing against thousands and thousands and thousands of other people who may potentially want that same item. And a lot of times those auctions run on like a 10-day period, so a lot of people have the time of day to just place multiple bids, right? And Whatnot, things are a little bit more high pressure, things are a little bit more fast paced, and so the auctions happen every 30 seconds, every minute, that at that quick of a pace. If you joined, for example, like Spokane Silver Stackers live auctions on YouTube, or there's other YouTubers also who do live format auctions here on YouTube or elsewhere. If you join those sort of auctions, that's a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit more intense, and a little bit more fun, actually, because you're there with the community, you're having fun with the community, and it's a good time. So kind of the more people that are involved, the more fun it is. But of course, the more people that are involved, the worse the deals are going to be. So I guess the point that I'm trying to say is that when you're looking for deals, sometimes timing is everything, right? We have just started doing the Whatnot auctions, and we've only done them for about 2 or 3 weeks. And if you'll pay attention to the shorts, some of the things that people have gotten, for example, like we sold a 1985 Prospector, I believe it was last week, for $5. $5 a $5 Prospector. That's way below spot price. Spot price right now is about 23, 25 bucks, something like that. 23 bucks, I think, is melt value. And we sold one of these for $5. Somebody was just lucky, they were there at the right time. Everybody else was passively bidding. They didn't think that, that person's going to get it for $5, but it actually happened. The person got the Prospector run for $5. Somebody actually got a Benjamin Franklin $half for 2x face. 2 times the face value, $1. They got a 50-cent, 90% silver $half for $1. That happened on last week's Whatnot auction, on Silver Bar Stack or Whatnot auction. So these types of things happen every week, and they'll start happening less and less frequently as time goes on, because as more and more people kind of join in on the auction, there's more competition. But right now there's very little competition. There's very, very few people actually joining in on the auction. And so what you see here is actually the prize pool, all the stuff that we're going to be auctioning off. I don't care if it sells for $1 or if it sells for $50. It doesn't matter. And the items that are in this prize pool, nothing in here, no item that you could draw, in my opinion, based off of the actual price that I've actually paid for each item in this prize pool, nothing. There's no single item that you can draw that is worth less than $12. Every single item. The cheapest item we have there is this 1 ounce Geiger copper bar. This thing is like a $12 cost basis for us, and so that is the cheapest thing that you could potentially draw. You're guaranteed to get one item here, at least, every time that you bid on the item. So the way that the mystery stack packs work is that we have a prize pool here of 20 items. There's 20 potential items that you could draw, and there's actually 5 bonus items there. You might draw a free item as well. So there's actually 25 items in the prize pool, but 20 items for the sake of simplicity. There's 20 items that you can potentially draw, and we will basically start one by one. Mystery stack pack number 1. Start the auctioning. It might get bid up to $1, it might get bid up to $10, it might get bid up to $30, whatever it is. We're gonna go in, we're gonna draw one of these random slips. Basically, I've got every single item that's in the prize pool written on a slip here, and these slips will be folded up and put into little silver bar slips, and we'll just put those inside this right here. So they'll all be hidden, and we'll basically just draw one at a time. Everybody will bid on the first mystery stack pack, and more than likely, a lot of times these things end up getting bid up to below spot price, right? And so if you're pulling something like a Johnson Matthey bar, right, and it's only been bid up to like $20 or $15, but you just gotten a crazy steal on that item. You know what I'm saying? So that's how the mystery stack packs work and how the drawings work. I'm going to kind of give everybody an idea of the items that are available in the prize pool before we actually start the mystery stack pack drawing. So some of these items I've got duplicates of, right? So I've got 2 copper bars here, so I might auction off one of the copper bars as a non-mystery stack pack item. And then we, once kind of everybody understands what the prize pool is, what are the odds of getting certain items in the prize pool, once they have an understanding of the items in the prize pool, then we'll start the mystery stack pack auction. So that's kind of how the opportunities work every week. Now, if you want to potentially get a deal on something, it's somewhat chance, and it's somewhat being there at the right time, at the right place, at the right time, right? So that's one way, in my opinion, that you can beat the premium. If you find, and I'm not the only seller on Whatnot. I'm sure there's many other individuals on Whatnot. Maybe they're not all selling, vintage silver or fractional silver. Maybe they're selling more junk silver, or maybe they're more into, graded slabbed stuff or something like that. So maybe if that's your thing, maybe you find some other sellers on Whatnot that you could find similar potential deals on. My experience when I've spoken to other sellers is that they have quickly, after doing a few streams, they quickly get demotivated and no longer want to do them. And the reason is because it's very unprofitable right now, right? If you're trying to do it for making money, it's very, very difficult to make money. In fact, I've not had one profitable auction yet. And all of my auctions so far on Whatnot have been very, very unprofitable, despite the fact that they have lower fees than competing auction sites. Right? Because their volume is very, very low. However, that doesn't bother me. Yes, it stinks. It stinks not to make money. It stinks definitely to lose money, for sure. Especially when you have stuff that you would rather just hold than lose money on. But at the same time, I look at things like Whatnot as like a marketing opportunity. It's a opportunity for me to introduce people to the SBS brand, to let people know what I'm all about, and hopefully, introduce them to something that they may not have known about or been able to appreciate before. So for me, it's not a huge deal, especially early on, if some of these auctions are running unprofitably. But that opens up an opportunity for individuals who do care about the price that they're paying. Most people, when they're stacking, they care about the price that they're paying. So you should always be looking out for deals. For example, let me give you a very, very good example. Okay, so for example, on the website, we have pretty high prices, right? Because we specialize in collectible silver, right? We specialize in collectible silver, vintage silver. We have a very, very highly specialized group of products that we are specialized in as well. So because we're so highly specialized, that drives the price up, because specific items that we buy, we almost never buy items near melt. Let me start with that. Most bullion stores, they buy things at melt, they put their appropriate premium on top, and then they sell them. That's not how we do things at SBS. Most of the stuff that we buy around market value. Sometimes if we're buying in bulk, we get a little bit below market value, and oftentimes for highly collectible things, we need to pay retail and sometimes above retail price, because we're having to look into the future and think, okay, this might be higher in demand later, and so we pay the premium up front, because if we don't, then somebody else may. And so that's why some of our pricing may be a little bit higher than a typical bullion store. Okay, and that is also specific based off of the item as well. Certain items that we sell may be priced more competitively than that same item on another store, and vice versa. So that's one thing to note. Another thing to note is that we have a lot of specialization, in the sense that we have a lot of exclusives, right? We have a whole SBS exclusives section where we curate specialized sets and things like that, and so those tend to carry higher premiums. If something comes in the original factory seal, that's going to carry a premium. If something has sequential serials, that's going to carry a premium, right? If something is a one-of-a-kind item, that's going to carry a premium. If you have the whole set of something, if the whole full year prospector set, or all the prospector fractionals as a set, and you can just buy them all in one shot, there's going to be an elevated premium for something like that. And then finally, the reason why our prices are a little bit higher is because we have a monthly subscription program. Okay, so and every time that somebody joins one of the different tiered slots, the price goes up on those, and so the early bird gets the worm on those. I don't promote that very heavily, because I don't like to push subscriptions on anybody. If somebody finds a subscription program useful, if you're watching Netflix all the time, yeah, it probably makes sense for you to get a Netflix subscription, right? Unless you can figure out a cheaper way to get it. Maybe you mooch off of your brother or sister or something like that. So subscriptions generally don't make sense for most people, because you have to be using the subscription. So most people are not regularly buying from the SBS website, but if they are, then I would recommend that they get the subscription, because if you simply buy the subscription, you get 2 coupons for either 5, 10, or 15% off your entire order. Okay, you're paying either 5, 10, 30 or $45, I guess now for the gold tier is what it's going to be moving up to. But you're paying your flat rate, and let's say on the copper tier you pay $5 a month. Okay, you get 2 5% off coupons off your entire purchase. Well, if you spend at least $100 a month, you've already made your money back on the subscription. If you don't spend any money per month, then you're kind of wasting your money on that subscription. And so it only makes sense, if you're a savvy buyer, you got to look at those types of things. Sometimes websites might have subscriptions, sometimes websites might be running flash promos, sometimes websites might have an email list where you could join and then they send you exclusive promos, So there's very many different ways to shop, right? If you're shopping on SBS, you got to be a savvy stacker. We got a couple gold tier subscribers, and they're very, very smart, right? They pay their $30 or whatever it is that they've gotten grandfathered into for their monthly rate, right? They pay that, and then during the month, they make sure that they get at least $30 worth of benefits. They'll make a $1,000 purchase and save, $150 and call it a day. Boom, that was worth it for me. So, yeah, the prices might seem high, but if you're a savvy stacker, if you're thinking about the bottom line, if you're timing things correctly, and if you're being at the right place at the right time, you can certainly get a good deal. And a lot of times, as can be seen over the last couple auctions that we've held, a lot of times, most of the times actually early on here, you can get things below spot, which normally would seem unheard of, right? Because most bullion stores, any bullion store, could always sell something above spot. That goes without saying. Even if they had to sell it off to some large wholesaler or something to liquidate quickly, they could still sell it basically above spot. So if you can ever get anything as an individual purchasing something, if you can ever get something at or below spot, it should be a no-brainer decision in my humble opinion. Obviously, that depends on what your financial situation is, but if you have money to spend, excess money to spend, and there's an opportunity to buy something below melt, and it's especially if it's a nice thing, a desirable thing, I think that it's almost goes without saying that you should seize that opportunity. So those such opportunities happen very frequently right now on these early whatnot auctions. So that's kind of the point that I wanted to make, right? And I also want to make the point that, when you're buying things, look for coupons, look for, opportunities to save more, because that's going to help your bottom line. That's going to help your cost average, right? If you see some nice vintage large bars and you've got the cash to spend, and you're getting a very, very nice premium on them, a lot of times people like to buy large bars like this because the premiums are very, very low. So they look at it at a lower risk because they're paying a low premium now, and then when they sell them off, they'll sell them at a price that has a low premium as well, that's closely tied to spot. And if they're really just purchasing because they feel that they trust the long-term trajectory of the silver price, then a lot of times people just want to buy close to melt and sell close to melt, if that makes sense. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you all can join in today's whatnot auction. All of this stuff that you see here is all going to be auctioned off today, and so you may have an opportunity to grab something that I would say the grand prize today is actually, it may seem small, it's only 2 grams of silver, but this right here is a 10,000 minted Johnson Matthey fractional bar. These things usually sell for at least $50-$60 minimum. We have them for $100 on our website. And then you've also got your SBS Slim Stacker, which is our proprietary 1 gram fractional silver bar, and that right there is a beauty. These ones we normally sell for $5. So this right here is the first ever serialized Shack Frack Stack Pack, SBS Shack 0001. So one lucky individual today will be going home with the iconic and high premium Shack Frack Stack Pack. We've also got the first ever Michael Jordan 420 Stack Pack, which is going to be a bronze medallion and this aluminum Michael Jordan token, MJ42001. So this is exciting stuff. Hope you can join, and thank you all for tuning in. Cheers.